Hello, second graders. This is Mrs. Gilmore. Today we're going to start working on Unit 3, Lesson 7. And this lesson is going to take us 2 days to complete. So there will be 2 parts to this lesson, and the first part will be in the first video, and the second part you'll do on the second video on Wednesday. So today we're going to start to learn how to estimate and measure with inches. Now, inches is not a measurement we've used so far. We've been talking about centimeters and meters, but now we're going to go on to a different measurement today. We're going to go on to learn about inches. So take a look at my ruler I have on this page. Does anyone know the distance between 0, which starts at the end of your ruler, and 1, which is right here? Does anyone know the distance there between 0 and 1? Okay, those of you that said 1 inch, you are correct. The distance between 0 and 1 on this ruler is 1 inch. So, does anyone know the short way to write the word inch? So centimeters, we know we can say cm to write the long word of centimeter. Does anyone know what the short abbreviation for inch is? Those of you that said IN, you are correct. IN is the short abbreviation we can write instead of writing the whole word inch. So, the period after the N we have to make sure we put. And we want to put the period after the N. We want to put the period after the N so that we know that this little IN period stands for inches instead of the actual word in. When you're reading and you read the word in, that means something completely different than IN period, which is the abbreviation for inches. So we want to make sure to put that period after our N when we write the short form of the word inch. So we make sure we're not getting confused with the actual word in. Okay, so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be getting an inch ruler from our ruler box, and this time the inch ruler is not the red rulers anymore. The inch rulers are the green rulers. So you can use either the green rulers, and I'm going to write green ruler here, or if there aren't any green rulers left, you can also use the red side of the wider rulers. If you find the wide rulers in the box, you can use the red side, and the red side is your inch side. Okay, so you want to get yourself a inch ruler, and then I want you to, once you have your ruler, I want you to work on showing your inches with me by using your fingers. So what I want you to do is I want you to take both of your pointer fingers, and I want you to start with your pointer finger pointing at the 0 at the end of your ruler here, okay, and I would even put my pointer finger right here on the end, and I want you to show me 2 inches. So put one of your pointer fingers on the 0, and then I want you to put your other pointer finger, I want you to slide it all the way from 0, slide it all the way over here, and put your second pointer finger on this 2. So you should have one pointer finger on your 0, one pointer finger that you slid over and landed on the 2. Okay, I want you to do the same thing. This time I want you to show 6 inches. So I want you to take one pointer finger and start on your 0. Then I want you to take your second pointer finger and slide it all the way over from your 0 all the way over to your 6 inches and put your 2 pointer fingers there, 0 and 6. Then I want you to do the same thing with 10 inches. So start with one pointer finger on your 0. Then slide your other pointer finger all the way over until you go all the way to your 10 inches and leave your second pointer finger there. Okay, that's a good practice for us to practice showing the distance between 0 and different inches. So if you look at your inch ruler for a minute, how many inches are there in your inch ruler? How many inches are there in your inch ruler? So if you come all the way to the end of your ruler here, here's 11. What number would come after 11? Well, those of you who are saying 12, you are correct. There are 12 inches in 1 inch ruler. So what we also know is there's a different word for that. We can say 12 inches, but we can also call 12 inches equal to 1 foot. So we can call this ruler a 12-inch ruler, but we can also call it a 1 foot ruler. This is a foot ruler. One of these rulers equals 12 inches, which is the same thing as 1 foot. Now, foot has a special abbreviation too. If we don't want to write out the whole word foot, we can actually use the 2 letters FT to write out foot. So you can use FT to make your foot shorter to write. Okay, I want you to look in your student activity book now. Look at page 143 in your student activity book. So in order to measure length to the nearest inch, now when they say the nearest, that means that your length might be between 2 inches. So you're going to pick the inch that's the nearest inch. So if your length falls between 2 inches, you're going to say which one is it closest to. Okay, so what you're going to do that is you're going to place the 0 mark on your ruler at the left side of your object. Then you're going to measure which inch is it closest to. Is it closest to the 1 inch mark, or is the end of your object closer to the 2 inch mark? On our car up here, we would say this car is about 2 inches. And the reason we would say that is because it's closer, here we go, it's closer to the 2 than it is to the 1 inch. So what you're going to do on number 1 through 5 is you're going to measure using a inch ruler. You're going to measure to the nearest inch. That means tell which inch the end of your object is closest to. Which inch is it closest to? The length of this toy car is closest to the 2 inches. Which inch is your feather closest to? And how many inches long is your leaf here is about how long? How many inches is it closest to? And then your long branch here, you're going to measure that with your inch ruler and decide which inch is your branch closest to at the end of it. Then on number 4 and number 5, you're going to draw the line this time. You're going to draw a horizontal line starting at your 0 on your inch ruler, and you're going to measure using your ruler all the way to 2 inches, and you're going to make another mark at the end where 2 inches is. Then you're going to draw a horizontal line starting at 0 and draw all the way till you get to 6 inches and make a mark at 6 inches. So you should have 2 line segments drawn here. One is 2 inches and one is 6 inches. Okay, on page 144 in your student activity book, turn to that page. On page 144, you're going to be finding some personal references that you can use to be specific about length. So some of these things we talked about, you can kind of find different objects or different parts of your body that measure about the distance or about the length that they give you. So for number 6, 7, and 8, you're going to find a part of your hand that measures about 2 inches. Now remember, we did this for our centimeters. In the last one we did for centimeters, they asked you to find a part of your hand that was about 1 centimeter long. This time, you're finding a part of your hand that measures about 2 inches long, and you're going to write that part of your hand right here. For number 7, you're going to describe a part of your hand that measures about 1 inch long, and you're going to put that here. Then number 8, describe a part of your hand that measures about 6 inches long. So that's going to be a little bit longer part of your hand, and write that part of your hand right here. Then you're going to complete number 9, 10, and 11. And number 9, you're going to start by estimating. Don't miss this. A lot of you like to jump ahead and start right away to measure the length of the line. Don't do that. Start with an estimate. Remember, an estimate is a guess. So looking at number 9, you're going to guess about how long this line segment looks like. And you're going to put your guess right here. Then you're going to use the inch ruler and you're actually going to measure that length of that line and put it next to it here. So you're going to start by guessing the length of the line, then you're going to measure it and put it on the line next door here. Number 10, you're going to do the same. Start with a guess. Look at this line here and guess about how long that looks and put it there. Then you're actually going to measure it and write it next door. Then for number 11, you're going to find a couple different objects around the classroom. It says find 4 classroom objects. You're going to write down the name of those objects down here on your chart, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to you're going to start with a guess. Look, it says estimate first. Now, when you find your objects, it says you're going to measure in inches and centimeters. So you're going to need a centimeter ruler for this too. So you're going to start by estimating how long you think the length of that object is in inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4 lengths here are going to be in inches, and you're going to be guessing how long those objects are. For the next 2 sections here, you're going to measure the actual length in inches using an inch ruler. Then you're going to measure the length in centimeters using a centimeter ruler. Now, you can't use any objects that are longer than, it says choose 2 objects that are between 12 inches and 24 inches. Now remember, 1 whole foot or 1 ruler goes from 0 to 12. So that means 1 long ruler is going to need to be used, and it says between 12 inches and 24, which means 2 rulers would be 24 inches. 12 and another 12 is 24, which means you need to find 2 objects in your 4 objects. You have to pick 2 objects that look like they're longer than 1 ruler, but they're not longer than 2 rulers. So they're going to be somewhere between 12 and 24, somewhere in here. So you should have 2 of your objects that are a little bit longer than 1 ruler, but not as long as more than 2 rulers. Then, when you're done with that page, you're going to come check your SAB pages with Mrs. Gilmore or Miss Sinclair, and then part 2 you're going to do tomorrow or Wednesday. And if you're done with part 1 and your pages have been checked and you've fixed any mistakes, then you'll go on to the Unit 3 extensions.